Well, there's no easy way to say this, but it does seem like the World Economic Forum, the WEF, has kind of taken over Canada. I mean, Mark Carney is just such a higher up official than Trudeau ever was with the WEF, and now he's prime minister, albeit illegitimate prime minister, but the stuff that he's doing is extremely scary. Such as, you know how America has just occasionally been dropping this 51st state rhetoric? You may or may not have heard of it. Well, it doesn't just end there. In fact, the Liberals, at least under Mark Carney's leadership, are going, no. We're not going to team up with America. We're going to team up with my old stomping grounds, which is Europe. So now there's a movement, a rhetoric, I don't know, that Canada would potentially join the European Union, which I've got to say is the most absurd thing I've ever heard about. Like, we are so freaking far from Europe. That does not make any sense at all whatsoever. But Mark Carney was the Bank of Governor for the UK or whatever, and he's got a little bit of pull in Europe, especially with the fact that as his first trip as newly elected, selected, illegitimate prime ministerial duties, he's going to Europe. So, yeah, we're actually being sold, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe not to America, but potentially to freaking Europe. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage you all to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. It does really help grow the channel. And if you haven't yet already, I'd like to encourage you guys to hit that little post notification, that little bell icon, just so you can actually be notified of upcoming videos. We've got a lot to take a look at in this video. Illegitimate Mark Carney, Prime Minister of Canada, a little bit of his background, a little bit about the EU thing, and when we can actually expect a election. Is it going to be soon? Is it going to be later? Also, Jagmeet Singh, but of course we all hate hearing him, but it is included in this video. So sit back, relax, or don't, or get very frustrated. Just don't get frustrated with me, because I know the news cycle right now is, it's not fun. Absolutely not fun, especially when liberals like this, Mark Gerritsen, are going on social media with his comments turned off like a little pussycat saying, I don't want to set off my conservative friends, but y'all are likely carrying around his autograph in your pocket and have no clue. Referring to Mark Carney because he used to be the Bank of Canada governor, and from older bills from 2008 to 2013 or somewhere along that timeline, you have Mark Carney's signature. So yeah, that's unfortunate. Then you have Wall Street Mav saying Canadians are wondering who their new prime minister is. He hasn't been involved in Canada in more than 10 years. He describes himself as European and was the governor of Bank of England. He holds 3 passports. Did the World Economic Forum just install him to be prime minister of Canada? The answer is yes. Absolutely, yes. He very much did get installed as Prime Minister of Canada by the World Economic Forum. Here's what Ezra Levant, the leader of Rebel News, has to say about Mark Carney.
I think we have an illegitimate vote. And I think we have an illegitimate government for sure. To this day, Parliament has not been recalled. It's still prorogued. It has no popular support. It has no legal mandate. Mark Carney is a stranger. We don't even know where he lives, as in what country is he living in? We don't know anything about him. He certainly wasn't probed in any of the debates. And much of his media has either been very carefully selected with the state broadcaster, or he's gone down to the U.S. to do it.
There's also this weird holdback from our mainstream media. Like, I get it. They usually offer softball questions to liberals, but as we were approaching the new year, at the end of 2024, you really had mainstream media push back pretty hard on Liberal MPs and Justin Trudeau. And that was kind of nice to see. But what we've seen with Rosemary Barr, whatever her name is, like, she is biting her tongue because she wants to get her next paycheck, and she's not asking real tough questions to the illegitimate Prime Minister, Mark Carney. Like, he's getting a free ride right now. And on top of that, government is still prorogued. And so we're just kind of stuck here twiddling our thumbs, waiting for that checkered flag so we can just unleash everything at the situation of what's going on. Like, Pierre Poilievre has been handcuffed. He's been muzzled. He's been freaking muzzled by the Liberals, by this prorogation, and so have the Conservatives. That's actually where Pierre thrives, where he does so well in the House of Commons with his zingers, with his comebacks, with exposing the hypocrisy of the Liberal government. And without that, you're kind of in the territory that we've been in, and we're all getting a little bit of cabin fever. But hopefully not for too much longer.
I think he's a kind of Manchurian candidate. I know one thing's for sure. Doesn't care about Western Canada. Only 2 of his cabinet ministers are west of Ontario. And this has immediate impact. For example, canola tariffs by China. Massive 100% tariffs on the canola industry, which is enormous. It's a Canadian industry. It's a Western Canadian industry, and it's much bigger than, let's say, the electric vehicle battery industry in Ontario and Quebec. But that's actually what China was retaliating.
Yeah, and we haven't even on my channel, I'll be guilty of that. Absolutely. I'll take that one on the chin. I have not done a very good job of discussing the tariffs with China and how that is very much a concern, but it hasn't really been at the forefront of the media or the news cycle because everyone's just more concerned about America because that's Trump, right? And so I'll do my best moving forward to discuss more and provide some videos about that. But let me know down in the comments. Do you want to see more videos about the China tariffs? Yes or no? Now let's move on to the next topic, where Mark Carney had a call with President Ursula von der Leyen of the EU Commission, President of the EU Commission. We spoke about the Rearm Europe plan and Canada's role in strengthening defense at home and abroad. In the face of global threats, Canada is meeting this moment, securing new military equipment and working with allies to keep us all safe. But he's working with allies overseas. That's just so bizarre to me that we're not working with America more closely. But now this makes a little bit more sense as we start to, lift the veil. Yukon Strong says, told you so. I freaking told you so. You have this article here saying Canada to be EU's 28th member. Nearly half of Canadians say yes. I have not heard that. When have you ever seen a poll that's saying, do you want to be part of the EU? Yes or no? Like, I've never seen that. Where are they getting this data? I don't know. I have no idea, but I've never seen it. I don't know anyone that's ever seen that online, not just to be approached about the poll, but I've never seen this poll even online. This doesn't make any sense. I don't want to be part of the EU. Maybe you do, but let me know down in the comments if you guys think that that's good or bad. Because now let's get into it. Politico is saying Brussels is honored that Canadians want to join the EU, but says it won't happen. EU says it is flattered by poll results, but calls on Canada to fight with Trump tariffs hand in hand. They don't want any of the smoke. I don't blame them. I really don't blame them. Brussels reacted warmly to the result of a poll showing interest among Canadians in joining the European Union, before clarifying that the idea is a non-starter. The survey conducted by Abacus late in February found that 44% of Canadian respondents believe their country should join the EU, while only 34% oppose the idea. Like, who the hell did they ask, man? They're just making shit up as they go along. A broader question on general support for joining the bloc drew 46% approval. Those sentiments... All right. So, I mean, there you go. We're honored with the results of a poll. It shows the attractiveness of the European Union. I don't believe that at all. Like, again, we would be the furthest from Europe. It doesn't make any sense at all. We are supposed to be on good terms with America. Let's fix that. Oh my goodness. Running away from just fixing, like we had an argument with America. Now we're running away to join a cult that's across the ocean. Give me a break, man. Who's going to do better for our country? European Union or America? Full stop. I believe it's going to be America if we can fix our relationship. According to this article by the Euractiv, Canada to be EU's 28th member, nearly half say yes. So much for Donald Trump's 51st state. Canada seems to be eyeing EU membership instead, with 48% of Canadians in favor, according to a new poll. Again, like where are they getting these numbers from? It doesn't make any sense at all. And speaking of not making any sense, let's take a look at the leader in not making any sense, Jagmeet Singh.
We are living in some dangerous times. We are seeing our once strong ally turn their back on us, with Donald Trump attacking our very sovereignty, attacking our workers, attacking our economy. And we see Donald Trump cozying up to dictators like Vladimir Putin. It means that we are in more dangerous times than ever before. Given that, we need to invest in our defense. And for New Democrats, investing in defense means investing in people. So when we talk about investing in Arctic defense, that means investing in Arctic communities. That means investing in the people that live here. So our announcement today is we want to invest in defense, and so that means we want to invest in the community.
This guy never once said he wants to invest in defense. I don't think Jagmeet Singh has ever been at the forefront of the conversation of wanting to put money into our defenses and into our military. In fact, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Jagmeet Singh has had the total opposite approach, where it's a utopia that he presents, where union breaks are just as long, if not longer, than actual working hours, that we don't invest any money in our military and we provide everything as social programs. But as long as the money finds its way to line the pockets of Jagmeet Singh, his family and his friends, then that's the way he would prefer to go. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I have never once heard Jagmeet Singh talk about increasing our defense budget or putting more money into our defenses. So that's a very interesting U-turn on what he's stood for leading up to now, I guess.
Some of the community investments that we want to highlight, and this is with the work of Lori and speaking with community stakeholders. One is you can't build a strong community without housing. So we want to strengthen and work with Nunavut 3000 to build the homes in these communities that are much needed. We also need to build the infrastructure that community needs to be able to thrive. And one of those projects that we fully support is the Killavik hydro fiber project. This will provide hydroelectricity and internet connectivity to the north. We also know that runways and airport infrastructure are vital to connect communities. So with that in mind, we want to pave the runway at Cambridge Bay in addition to other airport infrastructure upgrades. We need to support community groups like the Rangers who do great work but are often not getting compensated quick enough and not getting enough compensation. We need to improve that so we can improve their capacity. We also need to invest in deep water ports. This is one of the most important ways to get goods into and out of the community, so we need investments. One of the projects we want to see completed is the Nunavut project. That needs to be completed, but we need additional deep ports like projects in Gikarjuak and Grays Bay. These are projects that are fundamental to building a strong north. And marine search and rescue provide vital rescue services in the north, but they need additional stations. So we want to see investments in a station 1 in central Nunavut, as well as additional small craft harbors.
So Iqaluit, right? Like, again, taking points from Pierre Poilievre. I can now see why Pierre was so reserved and didn't want to hand out a lot of his plans, because the Liberals and the NDP are just scooping up going, well, hey, now that we've had time to think about it, here's a very original topic that hasn't been brought forward by anybody, and this is why you should elect us, and we're going to make sure that you fully agree with us before we unprorogue government. Bruh. And they lay it out, and then everyone's like, oh my goodness, yes, he cut the consumer carpet tax, which his predecessor instilled. Like, it's just weird. It's like they want Stockholm syndrome or something from us citizens to be abused constantly by the government, to then go, yay, thank you for stopping the abuse temporarily or shifting the abuse to a different way. It's just weird. It's weird, and I don't like it, man. Jagmeet Singh talking about defense spending, it's hilarious to me, because I've been watching these people talk for years. Never once has he ever really mentioned anything of the sorts, but we're gonna have to wait and see how this plays out. Now let's take a look at this recent CTV panel that talks about when will Canadians be heading to the polls for a federal election.
I can't imagine a world in which Parliament resumes for a myriad of different reasons. Do you anticipate a call before that?
Yeah, absolutely. Mark Carney, Prime Minister Carney, it's going to take a while to get.
Sir Lord Carney.
He's put together a cabinet, but this is not a cabinet in which we really expect to, test, get up in front of the House and sit through question period. Yes, there's a whip. Yes, there's a government House leader, but I don't think that these people are going to get a chance to really flex their muscles. He knows that. He's signaled even before officially launching the race that an election was better sooner rather than later, and I think that's what we're going to see. He's kept certain people in their jobs simply because we need that stability while he runs that election, and I think that's what's going to happen.
I do think that it seems like in launching cabinet, though, in identifying, like in his opening statements, JD, here are the two priorities that I'm focused on. Like, they're starting to write what the pitch to voters will be like as well.
Yeah, who can best manage the relationship with the United States? And Mr. Carney, by flying on Sunday night to London, Paris, and later Equalwit, he wants to show that he's also able to build alliances with key players like France and Great Britain facing the United States. And he was asked whether, during the scrum after the swearing ceremony, whether he was going to have a call or a visit to Washington to meet President Trump. He said, not for the moment, so we'll wait for that. I guess it's not going to happen before the election is called. I expect the election to be called next Sunday.
Yeah, I think that's the consensus view that is definitely emerging. They don't have another choice, do they, Bob, than to go to an election? I mean, first of all, opposition parties had talked at length about bringing them down. But second, he doesn't have a seat in the House of Commons. I can't imagine he would want to be prime minister in that scenario.
No, I mean, everybody knows we're going into an election campaign. It's certainly going to be probably next Sunday for sure. The Liberals have momentum going in their direction. I mean, look at the polls. It's been an incredible upturn. The Conservatives were leading by double-digit numbers, and Trudeau goes, takes some of the poison out of it, and then Donald Trump comes in, and that is the things that changed it. And Canadians are looking at Mr. Carney because he has got the real experience as a two-time Bank of Canada governor. They know that he's probably the best person who can deal with President Trump and to salvage the economy if we happen to go into a deep.
Mark Carney, Sir Lord Carney's the best person that we've got to deal against Trump. I don't know if I believe that.
Recession, because he was the Bank of Canada governor during the global recession in 2008, and I'm very intrigued to see how he handles Mr. Trump, because when you listen to him on Friday, he was saying, well, we have a lot in common. I've done business. I've been involved in real estate. I have a lot of respect for President Trump. I hope we can find some avenues to try to help American workers and Canadian workers. So a much different tone than Prime Minister Trudeau had in terms of dealing with President Trump.
Yeah, I think certainly you could see the pitch, Sherelle, that he and the Liberals are making. You're going to hear, though, and we did off the top, from the Conservatives and even the NDP, who will say, don't believe this is as much of a change as they're leading you to believe. Like, remember all this other stuff that's happened over the last 9 years. The polls, though, are astounding. Do you think they're going to be able to shake that off? Or might the Conservatives, particularly the Conservatives, I should say, with all the money that they have, the ads that they've been running, and successful campaign strategies in the past, be able to land that?
I mean, they might. There is still some time before voters actually go to the polls. So if they continue down the path of really charging ahead at the messaging that they're doing, there is a chance. I think what other parties and partisans of all stripes tend to forget is that nobody kind of hates their opposition as much as they do. So just because they feel that the Trudeau brand is toxic, and maybe it was for the Liberal Party. The polling the last couple of years certainly seemed to indicate that. You take him out of the equation, people are now thinking about the idea of like, okay, well, what is the Liberal Party, and am I a Liberal, or do I support the Liberals if not supporting Justin Trudeau? And I think they might find that the answer to that question is yes. So in terms of setting themselves up as a viable alternative, now that people find that they have another viable alternative, they might not be so willing to jump on board, Team Conservative, where, before.
I don't know. Mark Carney is very much just like Justin Trudeau. In fact, he is seemingly worse. This is not just my opinion. This is a shared sentiment among so many people, likely yourself included in this. Joe Rogan just said it in a recent video that I posted, that he seems worse than Justin Trudeau. Ezra Levant said it in this video, right? Like, it's everywhere, man. Jordan Peterson, I'm sure, has talked about this. Like, Mark Carney is not the solution to Canada. He's not. He is going to ruin our economy. He wants to prioritize. Are you kidding me? He wants to freaking join the European Union instead of staying here in Canada and maybe having an economic deal that's mutually beneficial with America. Like, this is absurd. I'm not suggesting 51st state, by the way. I'm saying, why would we join the European Union? Like, I don't want to be a part of that. I didn't vote for this. In fact, 39,800,020 people didn't vote for this, assuming that we have 40 million people flat in this country, right? Like 120,000 people voted in this Liberal leadership race. That does not and should not qualify Mark Carney to be making all of these huge decisions, right? I don't like it. Yes, it's a freaking weird little loophole that he was able to take advantage of, but there should be a general election that happens almost immediately, so he can't just go around and abuse power without actually being a elected official, right?
Or they might have felt they had no other choice.
Well, it's so interesting to see the degree to which, for example, Nick Nanos has some polling that shows Canadians who are open to voting one way or the other. And there's been an increase of 10 points, he said, for the Liberals, JD, and a decrease of 15 points for the Conservatives.
That's interesting. Now, the election campaign is like a job interview for all the political parties. Mr. Poilievre sent his CV a long time ago. Canadians know what he's capable of. Now they've got another who sent his CV late in the game and he's ready for the interview. So the election will be basically an interview for the job of being Prime Minister, facing Donald Trump, and so there will be a big contest. It's not a given for any political party, and I like that. We'll have a real campaign.
Journalists love it, yeah.
And Canadians will love it because the parties will be putting ideas on the table to try to convince Canadians who's best to lead Canada at a time of, very much economic turbulence and a neighbor who would like to annex us. So that's a critical moment in our history, and so let the interview begin with the election campaign, if I may say.
The fascinating part to me, though, Bob, is if you listen over the past few weeks to both the Liberals and the Conservatives, when they put policy on the table in response to this threat, you can barely discern between it.
You got it.
They are essentially all, we need to build up this country. We need to look inward and find new markets. We need to break down internal trade barriers. We need to not be shy around conventional natural resources and promote their export as well. Like, they're all singing all of a sudden from the same side. Even the carbon tax, let's get rid of it. You know what I mean? Like, it's fascinating. And so what does that leave the question for Canadians?
Well, look, Mr. Carney has moved the Liberal Party back to the political center where most elections are fought. And he's taken all the campaign issues that Mr. Poilievre was going to run on, pipelines, carbon tax, taking down internal trade barriers. All of these things that the Conservatives were hoping to run on have been taken away by Mr. Carney. And the other problem that it baffles me about the Conservatives is this name calling of carbon tax Carney and all that.
Oh, get over it.
Reminds voters of Donald Trump.
Get over it. Come on, dude. Give me a freaking break, bro. Come on, man. That's ridiculous. The name calling reminds of Donald Trump. Of course. Name calling is a part of life. Deal with it.
They shouldn't be doing that. They should be talking about their policy ideas to deal with Trump and to lift the economy, particularly, and safeguard the economy if we go into a recession. Those are the things he should be talking about. The name calling, I just don't get, and I think it's going to really hurt the Conservatives during the election campaign.
I don't think so at all. By the way, I don't know what the hell's going on with his hair, but it looks like he wore a bathing cap for swimming, and it's just stuck, or like that's fake. It's like a toupee or something. Look, name calling in politics is a part of it. It's a part of it. Come on, Comrade Kamala, Tampon Tim. You don't have to like it. The Liberals do the exact same thing. Why isn't this schmuck talking about that? Oh, it's just because Pierre did it, and they're trying to tie Pierre to Donald Trump because orange man bad, and then poof, it all disappears. That's absolutely ridiculous. The Liberals have done it. Justin Trudeau has done it in the House himself, calling Pierre names, saying, oh, you should go put your glasses back on. Like, give me a freaking break, bro. That's the most ridiculous thing you could possibly say. Look, when it comes time for an election, the polls don't matter. The betting market doesn't matter. We have seen in real life what a liberal type of protest looks like, going, oh my God, save the LGBTQSLI plus. And then we know what a true patriotic Canadian waving, horn honking protest looks like, where people show up to axe the tax or whatever, because there's been several carbon tax protests that have taken place. Who shows up to those things? Who breaks the barrier of sitting behind a screen, whether it's a phone, a TV, a computer? Who actually breaks this barrier and shows up in person? It ain't the Liberals. It ain't the Liberals. It's always been the Conservatives. And now more than ever, even though Trudeau is removed from the picture, you have a more evil version of Justin Trudeau that's in power. And abso-freaking-lutely, more Conservatives than ever are going to be showing up at the polls to vote. And they're going to be voting for Pierre Poilievre. That is in the video, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you guys in another video. Bye for now.